Soccer Assistant helps youth soccer coaches keep track of playing time and position so they can actually focus on coaching. Here's how the app works. For this demonstration, we have an 11 versus 11, and the configuration is a 4-4-2, that is to say 4 defenders, 4 midfielders, and 2 forwards. But you can use this app with any number of team sizes and player setups. With your team roster already loaded, you set your starters by tapping on their name and then tapping the position you want them to play. At any time before the game has begun, you can change your mind and put someone else there, which will make that person who was originally assigned show back up in the roster. So I'll take Joey and put him in at right defender instead of Barney, and Joey shows up there. And I'll take Johnny and put him up at right forward instead of Elliot, and his name shows up there. When you have your starters set up the way you want them, and then when your ref blows the whistle to start, you hit this icon up here and your game clock starts running. For this example, we have a format of 2 5-minute periods, but you could do shorter or longer and quarters instead of halves. During the game, you can double tap the green area representing the field and it will show accumulated time per player. I double tap it and the time shows up. I double tap this again, time disappears. But it's always keeping track. You can also pause the game action. For example, if a player gets hurt or the ref stops the clock or maybe there's a rain delay. So you hit pause this way and it shows you it's paused. And then you simply hit resume to start the clock again. So let's say that we're a little ways in and we want to make some substitutions. This is simple. So these are the players on the bench. Everyone else is on the field. So I'm going to take Barney and put him in at left midfielder. I'm going to take Elliot and put him up at right forward. I'm going to take Lewis and put him up at left forward. I will take Rocky and put him in at right defender. I'll take Steve and put him up at right midfielder. I'll put Truman at left defender and Wyatt at back defender. And as you can see, the player names are all teed up in the player positions. So when you have your subs ready to go in and the ref blows the whistle so you can make the substitution, you just hit this icon and you say commit and the substitution happens. Your replacements are now active on the field and your starters are on the bench down in this list. You can also see that it shows not just how much time they've played, but what position they were playing. Another way you can make swaps is to have players on the field change position. This happens sometimes. Say you want to have Lewis and Truman trade positions. You would select Lewis, and his position turns yellow, which shows that he's selected. Then I tap Truman's position, and you can see Lewis's name show up there, which means he's slated to go in there. This isn't going to work if I don't have somebody slated to go in for Lewis's position. Watch. Commit. Invalid lineup. It's missing a player at left forward. So I got to tap Truman. He's selected now and put him in for Lewis. So now I have those two guys ready to trade positions. So I hit commit and they've traded. I can do a couple more substitutions if I want while I'm at it. I can see that Diego has a lot of time, so I'm going to put Harpo in for him. I see that Grant has 3 minutes, so I'm going to put Edward in for him. I see that Ethan has a few minutes, so I'm going to put Bruce up for him at attacking midfielder, and so forth. I'm going to put Joey in at right midfielder, just for fun. Then I will hit commit. And again, the bench players go in, the active players come off, we see their time, and we see what position they have played. When the clock runs down to 0, it will be the end of the period, and the players will be cleared from the field, and you will see everyone back in the roster down below, including how much time they've played and at what positions. So you set your starters for the next period the same way. I'm going to start with the players who have the lowest playing time just to make it more equitable. So I see that Ben only has 2 minutes. I'm going to put him in. I see that Elliot is in the 2-minute range. I see Frank only has a couple minutes. So just like setting your starters for the first period, when you have them the way you like that and your ref blows the whistle, you start the half. And up top you can see it shows that we're in the second half here, in case you forget. So we're a little ways into the period here, and I can see that some of our players are getting up there in playing time, and I've still got a few on the bench who have about half as much, so I'm going to start setting up my next substitution based on that. I'm going to take Wyatt, put him in for Ethan. I'm going to take Lewis, put him in for Harpo here. I'm going to take, I'll take Bruce, put him in for Grant. Let's see if there's any other. Actually, no, I'm going to take Barney and put him in for Grant. There we go. And how does the rest look? That looks pretty good for now. So I'm going to commit to that substitution. And those players go in, and those other players come off. I can see here that Harpo's had 5.5 minutes. He's played defender and midfielder. So we're more than halfway through our period. We're winding down here, so I'm going to do one more substitution just to try and balance things out a little bit more. I'm going to take these players and put them in for the players that have the most playing time. Frank Truman is over 6 minutes here. Jackson going for Joey. That's pretty equitable overall. And hit commit. That's what my bench looks like. Everybody's got at least 5 minutes. Some a little bit more, some a little bit less. Goes without saying that it's easier to get equitable playing time when you have more minutes to distribute. So when you're talking about a 25-minute period, you can balance player time fairly equitably. So we're approaching the end of the game here, and as the game clock winds down to 0 and the game ends, you'll hear the ref blow their whistle about the same time. What you'll get then is a report of all the player time, including what positions they have played. So this just shows you at a glance how equitable your playing time was and how much, this just shows you at a glance who got how much playing time and what positions they played. And you can email that to yourself if you want to look at it, or share it with parents if they like. And that is how Soccer Assistant works in a nutshell.